Okay, here we go. Here's the reviews. The reviews are in. Performance for One, ARIatHOME's senior thesis, is a remarkable piece of analysis and research. Ari examines the aesthetics and appeal of live performance on Twitch. He does so from several angles, through attentive ekphrases of individual performances, through a sociological engagement with the platform and the kinds of creative opportunities it performs, in sophisticated conversation with media theory and anthropology. At the intersection of these many perspectives, he accomplishes several significant goals. First, he explains in clear, powerful terms the appeal of Twitch live performance and the ways in which it does not fit into our pre-existing notions of mass or local celebrity. Second, he allows even a reader unfamiliar with this platform to experience secondhand some of the excitement and immersiveness it creates by writing about it with vivid, vigorous, humorous prose. Third, through engagements with theories of ritual, Ari persuasively lays out continuities between these online live performances and older cultural formations, while making a strong argument for why conventional methods of close reading or mass media theory are not sufficient to explain or to critique the phenomena he describes. A fascinating case study of a recent online phenomenon, the thesis thereby also opens up much larger questions about how we choose the tools through which we analyze digital culture and about where we look for precedents for it. In short, this is highly original, well-researched, generally outstanding work. I will encourage Ari to seek to publish this essay in some form. It has the clarity of a popular audience piece, but also the intellectual heft that could make it potentially publishable in a peer-reviewed venue. Crushed it. Okay, now do you want to see the more critical one? It's longer. That one's a little biased because she was also a reader on the essay, so she was like my advisor through it. Here's it. Yeah, okay, I like graduated already, so it doesn't matter. So this one I was like, I caught a vibe just from the first paragraph that he was gonna come for me a bit, so I was like, I don't even need to read this. So I actually have not read this one yet. Okay, should we do it? He has a lot of notes on like specific like pages, so I won't read you those, like the little that won't make sense out of context, but it's not gonna be bad. I'm sure it'll be very academic, but let's read it together for the first time, yes? Okay, let's go. This essay is as reader-friendly as a live stream musical event. It's smart, charming, theoretically informed, evidenced, and thoughtful. It has a lively, colloquial, and dialogical style that nonetheless is able to sustain major inquiries. It takes up a question beloved of young people today who want to practice their art, how to use the internet to make a living out of it. It details in vivid detail the latest chapter in media that stage parasocial interaction. It contributes usefully to the ongoing interest in internet studies about the ways that platform design choices affect the details of cultural and communicative forms. The author should have a distinguished career ahead as a cultural critic, if desired. I learned a lot. Congratulations on splendid work. A couple of big comments. Critical engagement is a sign of respect and interest. That was the part where I got afraid. Okay, here we go. The thesis is that Twitch TV radically rearranges online performance. I think that argument is persuasive as far as it goes, but I think it would benefit from a broader historical and comparative look at culture industries generally. For a great intro-level textbook, see the one by David Hesmondal, who is very interested in music. Indeed, his work should interest Ari a lot. For instance, the printing press invented this thing called an author, someone who, by necessity, has to be attuned to the demands of the market. 18th century British novelists got feedback on plot and character, and so-called hack writers did even more so. The feedback between reading publics and serial novelists is even tighter in the 19th century. Haydn and Mozart, supported by courtly rather than market patronage, had to please kings and queens. Artists, save for a few who cares if you listen avant-gardists, that line is from Milton Babbitt, or rather the editor of one of his essays, or independent eccentrics, and thank heavens for them, have always had to read and adapt to their audience. That's because a lot of my essay talks about the dialogue between artists and their audiences, and how there's an interesting relationship between them. That Twitch is unique in its virtuality, liveness, and interactivity, I'd agree about the first maybe, but not the second two. A long line of research on oral poets such as Homer, bards, griots, or even rappers, Norman Perry, Albert Lord, John Miles Foley, among others, shows that they are always reading their audience, taking requests, embellishing, and improvising. Techno-libertarian PR agents for the IT industries like Chris Anderson would love Twitch's rediscovery of fire, i.e. the return of live performance around a single, in this case virtual, hearth. The use of broadcasting throughout is interesting because that historically referred to a relationship of dissemination without direct audience interaction. YouTube's slogan, "Broadcast yourself," obviously marks a radical break with that tradition. I wonder if streamer and broadcaster are truly synonymous. Several historians of radio and television have shown that these media take on dialogical formats in order to enter successfully in a home environment. Patty Schnall, for instance. He cited himself. I've written several chapters and articles on this as well, which explore what it means to talk to your TV set. You can, in fact, talk to your TV set, despite Ari's quip on page 13, and in many cases, it will talk back to you as if you were its friend. And yet the mismatch between call and response is truly schizoid most of the time. Twitch seems to have figured out, or has tried to figure out, how to host dialogical forms in real time over a mediated connection without the pathologies of schizophrenic breakdown, distrust, and inauthenticity that have always otherwise haunted broadcast discourse. Ari's report of the craft of persuading a skeptical audience that he is live and listening to them, rather than pre-recorded, are fascinating, and they remind me of the experiences of early radio broadcasters having to speak into a mic and nonetheless transmit authenticity rather than effectiveness. This is topic of chapter 5 of my book, pardon the self-advertising, but given the essay's central question about how to gain an audience, it seems appropriate somehow. Irving Goffman is great on all of this. See his discussion of fresh talk for broadcasters and complex communicative relationships enacted on radio and TV. This is the dilemma of any performer. When I lecture to my students, I always have to keep finding ways to show that I am live in the present and not just phoning it in. The specter of pre-recording is not only technological. Many people just replay the same old tapes. Actually, that was not where I expected them to go, because so a little bit of context is, like, this person is actually, like, a very, like, sort of important, like, film and media studies person, and I was sort of expecting them to just sort of, like, take apart different arguments, but instead, the fact that, like, basically his whole criticism was just sort of referencing other people is, like, actually quite constructive, because I'm not, like, an academic or, like, a cultural critic person. Like, I'm not actually too interested in that kind of stuff, but like, it's very clear that those sort of comments are written in that way so that I can read all of those things, find those authors, and then construct a more, like, an even larger piece. So it's actually cool that was formatted like that. I actually, yeah, like that, like, I thought it was sort of just gonna say, like, this argument doesn't really hold up, this doesn't hold up, but instead he sort of, like, spends the whole time being like, you should check this out, and you should check this out, and you should check this out, and he's, like, a pretty important dude, like, so I'm not too, it's without the context of who exactly he is, it's, like, maybe a little weirder that he's plugging himself, but he's actually, like, a important in the field of film and media studies. Am I gonna check any of it out? Probably not. I, like, don't even really care about that thesis, but those were the reviews. The reviews are in. Maybe some stream we can actually read some of it. I don't know.